Well, welcome to the Go Your Way podcast. And I'm joined again by Phoebe Goh. And we've got a repeat offender here, Josh Atwell. It seems like just like yesterday, Josh, that you were on the podcast. So thank you so much for coming back. And just to remind everybody, Josh comes from Splunk, where he's a technologist and cheerleader.
I think that's a fair explanation, yeah. And or your favorite shirt again.
Yes, I love that shirt.
Right. That's a great cheerleader outfit. I think you should get your whole team to wear Stitch shirts. That'd be great.
The family team does.
Josh, I know you have a great background working with developers and understanding their needs and really what they're trying to do. But we've talked a lot about multi-cloud and about hybrid cloud. What are some of those challenges that those developers experience in multi-cloud, hybrid cloud? And I guess the second part of that question is, what is something that developers should do to really understand and embrace that mindset?
Yeah, I think the most important component of that is that in the last 10 years, as more cloud services have become available, specifically to support the needs of developers, they've been very comfortable going out and finding them and adopting them and incorporating them into their workflows. Not all of those efforts are scalable and are easy to adopt from an enterprise standpoint, but we've also learned that that's generally okay. One of the challenges, as we talked about in the last episode I was on, is that each of those services behave and report differently, and they're supported and maintained differently. So that challenge is now fallen more on developers to handle some of those operational concerns. And that's also why we see a lot of organizations adopt what they call DevOps teams to help support those types of environments.
And Josh, just as you mentioned the different tools that folks are using for different clouds, there's also a bit of a holy war sometimes when it comes to developers and the cloud platforms, whether it's a multi-cloud or on-premises and a hybrid setup. How do organizations typically navigate and manage some of that religion when it comes to deploying to a multi-cloud within a multi-cloud environment?
Yeah. I think there's two ways to answer that. There's the successful organizations, and then there's the ones that aren't. And I think the successful ones have a couple of things very specific. One, they're encouraging their people to use the right tool for the job versus the tool that they're most comfortable with, per se. Obviously, developer productivity is critically important. They're very valuable contributors to the business and to customer expectation. But there's also a requirement to make sure that there is sustainability in what they do. And I think successful organizations balance that really well. And a lot of that is in their communication, in their hiring, and in the decisions that they make from an architectural standpoint about what their software needs to look like and how it needs to be built and how it needs to function.
You're kind of talking a little bit around that, and we had this just before this call, talking about APIs, right? And understanding that things need to be consumed in such a way that anybody can talk to them and they're not proprietary and locked away and really hard to change later down the track, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the nice things that has evolved with the growth of the cloud and all the services is more consistency in how APIs are created and made available to developers and consumers. And as a result, it's easier to maintain some level of continuity of bringing in information and working with the software via the APIs. Not all of them are as fun to work with as others, and the information that they provide may vary from one to the other, but that there's a large common denominator in how to interact with these services now, and I think that also helps increase the successful adoption of these multiple services.
That's fantastic. Josh, how can people track you down online if they've got more questions or more answers or responses to you?
Yeah, so the easiest place to find me is on Twitter at Josh_Atwell.
Fantastic. We'd appreciate if everybody would go to Apple iTunes, leave a 5-star review. We'll take a 4-star review, but just leave some comments for us. And we look forward to talking with everybody on the next episode. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you.
Thank you.